So I don't blame ordinary British Columbians. Like I say, they've been colonized by American lobby groups. But at the end of the day, they did vote for their latest batch of kooks, like those in the provincial legislature. And let me get back to Victoria for a moment, because they're the tops in the crazy Olympics. Look at this. City of Victoria recommends class action lawsuit against the oil and gas industry. Can I read a bit? This is from the Globe and Mail. The City of Victoria has become the first municipality in BC to support filing a class action lawsuit that seeks to have oil and gas companies help pay a portion of the costs associated with climate change, and is hoping other municipalities follow its lead. If only they could sue John A. Macdonald too, then we'd be cooking with gas. Here's some more from the story in the Globe. Our province is in a climate emergency, and response from fossil fuel companies has been inadequate, Victoria Councillor Ben Issett said. The cost of climate change has been overwhelming for local governments in BC, and taxpayers shouldn't be the only ones paying for the impacts. I read to you the other day about Vancouver's declaration of a global warming emergency, and they said it was an emergency because the sea level is rising, and it is true. It's rising about the thickness of a dime every year. I showed you this Australian sea fort in Sydney, Australia. A photo taken 130 years ago and then one taken today. You can see maybe an inch of difference, and that's apparently caused because you drove to work today, people. Now, I know this is kooky stuff, but it's easier talking about this than talking about the dirty drug needles and the used condoms in the public parks. In fact, right in front of the legislature in Victoria there. And I guess it gets votes. I mean, Lisa Helps, the ironically named mayor of Victoria, she wants to get rolling with the lawsuits right away. Look at this beautiful propaganda website she set up. This is actually last month she did this. It says, I don't know if you can see it there, who should pay for climate adaptation? Victoria's climate accountability letters. And then if you scroll down a bit, there's a copy of a letter that she has sent to various oil companies around the world. What I mentioned before, the people she wants to sue. Now, her letter is on the page there. Let me read it to you. It starts, as mayor and council of the city of Victoria in British Columbia, we are writing to secure your commitment to pay your fair share of the costs of climate change that face our community. Climate change is the direct result of pollution caused by the burning of fossil fuels, including from your products. She goes on a bit, and she sent those letters all around the world. Here's a list of some of the companies she wrote to. Now, some of them are owned by companies in the West, and by that I mean they're publicly traded on stock markets. They're subject to regulation and lawsuits. It wouldn't surprise me if some woke CEO actually pays her shakedown money as a form of greenwashing, doing the oil and gas equivalent of what Gillette just did to itself the other day, going public saying it hates itself, and so will you love me now? I mean, we see that in Alberta, where 4 large oil companies endorsed the carbon tax for Rachel Notley, excuse me, in return for special favors and exemptions and preferences against their competitors. But look at some of the others on Lisa Helps' list there. Do you see Gazprom there, about a third of the way down? That's a Russian company that's controlled by Vladimir Putin, 51% owned by the Kremlin. Do you see near the bottom there, it says Saudi Aramco? That stands for, you know, I mean, that's Saudi, right? That's owned by the King of Saudi Arabia. And you see right in the middle there, National Iranian Oil Company. That's the state oil company of Iran. Those are dictatorships, people. And you see about 2/3 of the way down, it says Petróleos de Venezuela. Now, she spelled about half these wrong. Like you see Murray Ngari. Like there's so many spelling errors on this. It's so weird. It's almost like she's an amateur, juvenile or something. But that one there, Petróleos de Venezuela, otherwise known as PDVSA, that's of course nationalized by the Venezuelan dictatorship. You know they're so poor over there because of socialism, that despite having the largest oil reserves in the world, bigger even than Saudi Arabia, the average Venezuelan has lost 18 or 19 pounds from malnutrition. Now, I know fatties like me are thinking, oh, I'd like to lose 19 pounds. No, not from starving, you don't. It's a famine over there. That's not the good way to lose weight. They're starving because of socialism. But this kook, Lisa Helps, the mayor of Victoria, wrote them a letter saying, oh, excuse me, can you send us money for reparations or something? That's an excerpt from the Ezra Levant Show. Every day I do a video monologue and then I interview an interesting guest. And then I end by reading my hate mail. But you've got to subscribe to it, which you can do at therebel.media/shows.